post last week. I was really sick with the flu and I had to move house, which was a really horrible combination. So thank God it's all over now and I'm back on board. So I've had a bit of time to think, as you do, in between the moving and feeling sorry for myself with the flu. I've just been really thinking about, I guess, social media and human relationships, and I guess I'm a little bit fascinated, horrified, dismayed, inspired, which kind of seems a bit of oxymoron of words that I'm using, but this is kind of how I feel when I really think about social media and human relationships. I just wanted to discuss, I guess this video is about what I think about the state of affairs in modern society and how we use social media to communicate. So the other day I was out, I went out to get some soup because I was obviously feeling really sick, and I was out by myself, just sitting down in a restaurant in the city having some soup, and there was a group, and I see this all the time, and I'm sure you've all seen this as well, but there was basically a group of friends. I counted 7 of them sitting at a table, and every single person was on their phone, and no one was talking, except obviously to show, share a picture or a post or something that was going on. And it really got me thinking, and I have seen this a lot, but I just thought, why are you all sitting together and no one's talking to each other? It's just, I don't get it. And these guys would have been in their early 20s. Obviously, and I'm thinking, is it a generation gap? Is it a generational thing? Is it because these people are so used to communicating via social media? I guess it might be when mobile phones came out. I was a teenager in high school when mobile phones, and not everyone had one, only very few select really cool kids had mobile phones, the good old Motorola flip top. And and I remember, even as a kid, we always had computers. I think, I'm the first generation that's really computer savvy because we grew up with them from the day we were in prep. And I remember our parents, talking amongst each other, saying things like, oh, these kids are amazing with the computers and they're always on the computers. But I feel like social media is a little bit different, not in the sense of the technology, because I think there's a difference between being very naturally inclined and, knowing how to navigate technology as opposed to social media. Because social media itself is not so much the technology as it is as a new form of communication. So I guess the whole point of me sharing this is I spend a lot of time on social media. I also spend a lot of time talking to people. Most of my interactions are with people face to face. I love to have face to face interactions. I am very giving of my time for people because I think that's really important, and I think it's only through spending proper quality time with people that you really get to know them. So I guess the main question that I want to discuss in this video is, in our search and in our, I call it hyper-connectedness, are we in fact so much more disconnected than we've ever been in the history of mankind? Really been thinking about this, and I have come to this conclusion, and maybe I'll change my mind as I continue to think about this, but where I'm at right now is, yes, I feel like people are so desperately crying out in the Western world, especially for connection, like real connection. And the problem with especially Facebook and most social media is, you know what? We don't need to know what you had for dinner. Yes, you have a really special meal. Sometimes you go to a nice restaurant. There's nothing wrong with posting things, but I feel like, are we oversharing? I don't overshare. Well, I hope I don't. And if you see me doing it, then, please pull me up on it. But when I say oversharing, I'm talking about where people feel the need to share the most mundane things of their life. Are we oversharing because we become acclimatized to it? Or are we oversharing because we so desperately want to allow people in our lives? Or is it because we've become so voyeuristic where we sit as spectators and we actually just watch what people are posting and what people's lives are like, and then do we then compare? And I say we because I am human and I'm part of this problem. I'm not in no way trying to say that I'm not part of this problem at all. But I guess for me, I find it so fascinating because I spend so much time, I guess, being, you know, in film production and doing what I do. I guess I'm always thinking about constructing, you know, we're always thinking about what we construct in front of the camera, the story that we want to tell. And I guess, you know, there's so much pre-production that goes into that before you even get in front of the camera. And I just wonder, as people just idly just take out their camera and take snaps and, you know, like selfies. You know, I still don't know how to take a proper selfie. I think I've taken a selfie. I've never posted a selfie because they basically look shit. Second reason is I feel like a retard taking a selfie. I don't know if it's just me. I don't think it's my age, because there's a lot of people who are my age and older who have no issues taking selfies, and they've got that duck thing that people insist on doing down to a T. I personally really hate it. I love photos. I think photos are beautiful. I love photos. I love Instagram. Instagram is great. I follow so many great artists and photographers, and I love it. There's nothing wrong with photos, but this idea of we become so self-consumed that we just feel like we need to share this constantly online. I mean, I don't know. And then my question is it good or evil? I mean, is social media bad? I don't think it is. I do a lot of work on social media. You know, at the moment, I am going to be spending the next 2-3 weeks just on my social media to get, you know, my followers up, and I'm understanding how to do this, and I'm learning about this, and I'm understanding that it's about capturing a wider audience. And then, you know, in business, that's really important now, because the greater your viewership and the greater your audience, then the more clout and influence you have. I mean, it is like, I guess marketing has changed, and you know, this is a good thing because it's putting power, I guess, into the hands of the people that are creating good content without the middleman, without, you know, we're not living in the same world from, you know, the 70s and 80s. But what just really concerns me is, I'm not so much concerned. I don't really want to talk so much this video about, you know, the business side of it, because I think I'd like to talk about that in another episode. But my question is, what is wrong with us? I can't tell you. You know, people post things when someone passes, you know, and I understand that, and I get why people do it. But sometimes it's like, you know, there's been people that have lost a parent, or you know, a grandparent, or, you know, an uncle. And sometimes, you know, you see this and you're like, do I send my condolences? Do I put a message on there? Because, you know, and I generally, you know, feel bad or whatever it is that I might be feeling. But sometimes you think, well, I don't really know this person, and I haven't really commented, and, you know, and sometimes this is the dilemma. It's like, we've got all these people that we watch and we feel like we know so much about them, but we have absolutely no interaction in real life, or barely any interaction even online. So I guess my question that I'm trying to ask is should there be an etiquette? Should there be rules? How do you navigate this? I mean, sometimes I'm like, oh, and why is it that, you know, people, there's so many people, like, you like their stuff, but they'll never ever give you a like back. I mean, I don't know. I don't get it. There's a lot of questions that I don't know. But, you know, I always ask myself, it's not about what you're seeing online, because behind what you're seeing online, there's a person who's making that decision. And I guess, what is it? What's the answer? Do we avoid social media? I don't think that's the answer. I think social media is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. We have to accept it. But I guess maybe we're in the teething stages now, and I don't know. Like, what do we do? How do we move forward? I guess is the question. But what I do know, and what I really, really, really do believe, and the people that do watch this video, guys, just think about this. Just think about when you post something, or when you see someone post something, just think about and ask yourself the question, why am I doing what am I doing? Am I doing it because I want attention? Am I doing it, you know, and if it's a case of, yes, I'm posting constant pictures, especially women, like half dressed, and you're taking selfies of yourself and you're pouting, your boobs are out and all of that. And you know what? And the people that say, oh, don't be a hater and you're just being and it's like, no, it's not being jealous, because you know what? I got pretty good boobs myself, and if I wanted to do that, I could. But that's not the issue, and that's not why I'm raising it. What I'm saying is, especially young girls, like, are you doing that because obviously you're doing it because you want attention, but just ask yourself the question. It's not a way of judgment, and I'm not judging anyone, because maybe if I was still 16, I probably, and this was around, I probably would have done it, because I was pretty much, I loved showboating when I was a teenager. So I'm not judging that. I guess the question that I'm trying to find out, and what I want to ask is, obviously people do it because they're wanting attention. So we need to ask, as human beings, when we're seeing this, rather than just judge people online and slander them and we're so quick to do that, is how do we reach out to people? How do we form really meaningful relationships? I wish that phones were banned in restaurants. I wish that we could ban phones and social media, or just phones in general, in certain public places where people would actually have to sit down and communicate and talk to each other. I have seen people so busy trying to capture their life so that they can flaunt it on social media that they're missing really important moments. When I'm having a beautiful, if I'm with my lover and we're watching a sunset and it's just the most beautiful thing and I'm feeling the most amazing emotion, the last thing I would think about would be to take a photo and capture that, because I just want to be in that moment. I want to live in that moment. And I guess my challenge is, it's beautiful to capture certain things, but just filter. I think there needs to be a filter. I think we need to go, should I really share this with everybody, or should I just keep this as something sacred for my inner circle? And I feel like sometimes we've confused what we share in our life with strangers, and the things that we should be sharing, our real selves, our authentic selves, we're not even sharing them with the people that we should be. And I think we are oversharing. I guess as I'm discussing this, I'm coming to a conclusion that we are oversharing, but we're oversharing the mundane, we're oversharing the superficial, and yet we're hiding our true selves, which we can only really express and show in deep, connected, meaningful relationships where, things are bad, things are bad, and things are good, things are good. We need real friends where we can cry with them. When your friend is grieving, grieve with them. When your friend's happy, rejoice and celebrate with them. This is what we need. This is what a real friend is. And I guess I just want you guys to think about, your friends on Facebook. Maybe I'm saying this to myself. Maybe you need to cull and it's not about numbers, and maybe it is, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe you can have 20,000 people on your Facebook and it doesn't really matter, as long as you've got, good relationships. I don't know. Look, I don't have all the answers. I guess what I'm just saying is, I think as a society, we are really desperately hungry for connection. I think this is something I really want to talk about maybe again next week. Maybe talk about the positive aspects of social media. But I guess until then, guys, be good to people, love people, make a difference, and I'm talking about making a difference in your everyday life. Don't be so consumed in checking your Facebook and being a slave to a device that was ultimately created to make our life better. Don't be a slave to it. But you know what? Put your phone away, go for walks, call someone you haven't seen for a while, go have a coffee with them, spend time with your family, just love life and love people, and you will be so much happier. Okay guys, so until next week, I love you. Thank you so much. I really would love to hear your comments about this. Whether you agree, disagree, or whatever you think about this, please leave a comment. And if you like what I'm about, please subscribe. Until then, I will see you next week. Bye.